Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and of course, I am joined tonight by none other than, that's right, the bad man himself, and Trey. How you doing tonight, Trey?
I'm doing great. You might hear a little background noise, a little squealing, a little hyperness. That's my daughter. She refuses to go to bed. So I'm sorry. I apologize in advance for that. But, man, I wish I lived on the West Coast right now in the NBA playoffs, because these 9:30 games, I don't get undone until midnight. I'm old. I can't stay up late anymore. I'm old. I'm fat. I need my sleep. But, man, what some great NBA playoffs we're going to have, man. This has been the best NBA playoffs I've seen in a long time.
It has been a while since we've had as good playoffs that's going on right now. I mean, this has been absolutely fantastic playoffs. And so tonight we actually have a lot of good topics for you. And first off, obviously the first one that I wanted to jump into, because we've been kind of speechless about this guy, and he goes by the name of Ja Morant. So I'll tell you what he's done in the postseason has been completely and utterly ridiculous. He was the third guy in NBA history in his first 3 games to have over 100 points in his first 3 games. And just completely crazy. So Trey, was this something that you were expecting from Ja Morant?
Oh yeah, I saw him at Murray State a lot playing in the NCAA tournament, seeing what he brought to the table in there, and just what he brings. The guy is a relentless assassin. He has a Mamba mentality. This guy, the only thing he needs to work on is his confidence in his 3-point shot. You saw it in the playing game against the Golden State Warriors. I think he made 6 free 3-point because he wasn't hesitating, and now he's starting to. He hesitates a lot because he doesn't make a lot. But man, when he gets in the paint, he's the best finisher in the game. One of the best finishers in the game behind Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, and all. But man, he's only 22 years old. This dude should have been the number 1 overall pick. I don't know why the Pelicans picked Zion Williamson over this guy. Maybe because they're getting Lonzo Ball, but I would have rather have Ja Morant than Lonzo Ball right now. But that's neither here or there. I think Ja Morant is going to be a superstar in this league. If you then pair him up with Dillon Brooks as well, and you get another third scorer, I think that the Grizzlies are on their way up to having something special. You could probably see them in the NBA Finals or the Western Conference Finals here in the next 2 to 3 years if they get that third piece. They need another third guy. Dillon Brooks, I love his heart, I love his intensity and everything like that, but he just doesn't have it all game like Ja Morant does. Ja Morant, he can finish out the hole, he can play some defense, he carries a team on his back at a young age, and his maturity level, is already a veteran leadership as it is right now. So, man, Ja Morant should have been the number 1 overall pick, but the Grizzlies are happy he fell at number 2, and they got a superstar in the making. I'm so happy for the Grizzlies because they deserve a superstar in that team.
All right, so let me ask you this. How close do you think that Memphis is? How close? Because to me personally, I think they're maybe 1 or 2 pieces away.
Now, if you're asking championship or getting deep playoff runs to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, so I'm talking about let's say a deep playoff run.
They need another scorer to help Ja Morant. They need someone else to help space that floor. Yeah, you have the kid out of Duke. I forgot his name, Allen. They just don't have that third guy that scares you, right? They just don't have that. Dillon Brooks, he'll go off and hit a couple, but then he'll go cold in an instant heartbeat. If you keep Dillon Brooks, because he's a hell of a defender, he's one of the best defenders in the league. I think he's going to be defensive player of the year within a couple of years if he keeps the way he is. And you just put a scorer, and then they probably need a little bit of more bench help as well. But I think they're one good player away from making a deep run, especially because this is a young, scrappy team. And they all want one thing, and they're all hungry. And that's what I love about this team. They never give up in any game. So I think they're 1 or 2 I'm with you, 1 or 2 players away from making a deep playoff run as well.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we were talking about it before we came on here. where you said you kind of wish that the Warriors would have beat the Lakers, so that way this young Memphis team could have went up against the Lakers, because you actually said you could foresee that Grizzlies actually beating. You thought that they could have beat the Lakers, but I don't think they could have. I really don't think they could have. I don't think they have. They would have enough big men.
I don't, dude. Remember, it wasn't a series; it's a 1-game playoff.
I know.
So, and what I'm saying there is, you're seeing what the Phoenix Suns are doing to the Los Angeles Lakers right now, right? Yeah, I mean they're running them. They're old. They're old and fat. I mean, basically, when you started Marcus All, your centerpiece, and Drummond, they're running up and down and making these guys tired. There's a reason they won by 30 points. I don't care if Anthony Davis plays 9 or 9. He's not going to be the same Anthony Davis, and he was already injured from a knee injury. I think with Ja Morant, 1 game, and you have LeBron not shooting the ball well, he's not doing the typical LeBron James things. And then the 3-point shooting suspect at best. There's a APP out for him because no one can hit a 3-point shot to save their freaking lives. I'm telling you, in a 1-game playoff, they probably could. Now, the Lakers, you're probably right. Lakers probably would have won or something like that. Crazy. But they would have given them a hell of a game, too, and I wouldn't have been surprised if Memphis beat them.
So we have a few comments that are going on right now. And the first one, I will say, if we are cutting in and out, my apologies. And then we also have Santino, who is coming on saying, old and fat. I take offense to that, but understand I work with this guy, so he's out here just kind of making jokes. But in the end, when we truly look at this, as we look at Ja Morant, we know how good he is, what he's capable of doing. Obviously, you give him a few more pieces, this Grizzlies team's going to make a deep run. But what he did in the first 3 games is just completely and utterly ridiculous. I kind of felt bad for him, though, because he did whatever he could to keep them in every single game. He really did. But,
he did.
But in the end, Utah was just too much. They were just too much.
Well, when the Utah Jazz can hit 60% 3-point shots, no one's going to beat this team. I don't care how – I mean, Donovan Mitchell looks like he's getting healthier. He looks like his old Donovan Mitchell self, playoff Mitchell. Where he's proven that the bubble wasn't just a bubble thing, and he's a I wouldn't say superstar yet, but he is a great player in the NBA right now. And you saw after game 1 not having him how big of a difference that team is. And if he stays healthy through the playoffs, I can see them going to the Western Conference Finals. But yeah, you're right. Ja Morant did what he could, but this Memphis Grizzlies team overachieved by a couple of years. I didn't see this coming for another year or 2 years at that. The head coach for the Memphis Grizzlies is doing a hell of a job with them. Dylan Brooks has made strides each year that he's been in the league. So I think they overachieved. And like you said, Ja Morant kept him in the game, like you said. And that's without a 3-point shot, too. He's not a great 3-point shooter. If he gets that added onto his game, oh, man, watch out, man. This guy's going to be a force to be right. He's going to be the next, I don't know, Steph Curry, maybe. I don't know. Finishing, but not 3-point shot wise. But that's all he needs is a 3-point shot. Confidence in 3-point. And he'll be an all around great basketball player.
Yeah, and I think what was so crazy about it is as you're watching it, you see that the Jazz would grow this huge lead, and I'm like, okay, it's over. And then I would slowly see the Grizzlies start coming back and slowly creeping back against the Jazz. And then all of a sudden the Jazz would just catch fire, 3, 3. And I'm like, okay, so it's done. So with that, that's why the Grizzlies were so outnumbered, was because the Jazz they can hit threes whenever they want. I mean, they are just a ridiculous 3-point shooting team.
They are. I mean, that's why they're number 1 seed in the West, right? Because that's all they do. They pass the ball really well. They basically have the Golden State mantra right now, sharing, passing the ball. The ball doesn't stick. The ball just keeps moving around, and it finds open 3-point shooter for who it could be one different player each night being hot from 3-point range. Jordan Clarkson, 6th man of the year, could get hot, and then Ingles gets hot, and then Donovan Mitchell gets hot, and then you have Rudy Gobert in there blogging the paint. This team's, I mean, everyone doesn't take them seriously, but this team could easily make the finals this year.
Definitely. Okay, so when we look overall at the NBA playoffs right now, we know that there's a current game going on between the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers. This game right now, this game's insane. This is a good game. The Nuggets have come back. I told you that the Blazers were looking really, really good. You're like, watch out, because the Nuggets can come back anytime, and they did. They came back. They're now down to the Portland Trail Blazers. But let's talk about the last game they had. If you think about the last game they had, that double overtime game, the crazy thing about that game was there was a few times in that game to where Portland was down by like 14 or 15, and here comes the Blazers getting right back in the game. And it's because it's Dame time. Dame time hits more big threes right now than anybody I've seen, man. I mean, CJ McCollum steps out of bounds, and I'm like, okay, all right, that's got to be game. But no, here comes Dame right back down on the court, hits that big three when it's on, and you're like, man. And then it comes to the first overtime, and the Nuggets come out in the first overtime, take control, and I'm like, okay, here it comes again. The Nuggets have that big lead, and then the Blazers come right back down, and all of a sudden Dame takes the game over, and the Blazers come back and tie it again to take it to another overtime. I'm like, man, when's this game going to end? So what was your thoughts on this double overtime Nuggets and Blazers game?
My thought was, if I'm Dame Lillard, I'm going cussing every one of my teammates out for the way they played in those overtime game, and they basically cost them the game. And I'm also cussing out the referee, because remember in that first overtime, he hit the three, and he also got 363, and he also got fouled, and he made it. And it should have been a 1-point game with 6 seconds left, but they didn't call the foul, and Rivers misses a 3-point shot. And then you have CJ McCollum. I don't know where his head was. He was basically standing on out of bounds line whenever they pass it to him, and then the stupid fouls, and then the stupid. Damon Lillard scored 17 of the 19 points in those double overtimes. That's ridiculous. Ian Cannon scored the first two, and Damon Lillard just took over. It's like, nope, I'm scoring here from here on out. I don't know why. I yelled at the TV. I woke up my family. I'm like, foul Damian Lillard. But as soon as he touches it, foul him, because he's going to make it. He's going to make it. It's like the Steph Curry. You just foul. This guy can pull up. He has Steph Curry range. Him and Steph Curry are the only ones who's a deep threat from past half court. They can make half court shots 50% of the time if you let them. So if I'm CJ McCollum, I mean, it's a kind of a wasted game, and I'm glad his teammates are picking. Well, they were picking up for the first three quarters. Now they're kind of slacking a little bit. But CJ McCollum came out guns blazing. Melo hit a couple big threes, so his teammates are actually helping him out tonight, because if this does go to Game 7, you know it's going to be all Damian Lillard all the time. And I just don't trust the Blazers. They'll have a big lead, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. They should have won that game. Nuggets should have won that. That's why whoever wins the series, they're not going to beat the they're not moving on to the Western Conference Finals. And that's why I wish Murray was playing for the Denver Nuggets as well, because if Murray was playing, this series would have been a wrap. Yeah, a healthy Murray. But Dame Lillard, you're right. Dame Lillard is a clutch three-point shooter. He's one of the best. And honestly, I don't hate the guy. I also don't love the guy. The guy doesn't play any defense. He just shoots the ball three. He doesn't do any but he scores 55 points and he keeps them in the game, and he gets hot at the right time. This guy is clutch. You see, he took the Oklahoma City Thunder with the Russell Westbrook and Paul George, sent them bye-bye. And so I don't hate Damian Lillard. I actually encourage him, because he wants to stay with one team and win a championship with that one team. Probably him and Steph are probably the last loyal guys in the league right now to do that. So I'm kind of rooting for him in that instance. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, this guy really doesn't play defense. All he does is shoot threes. And, yeah, he drives the lane every now and then. But he also turns the ball over quite a few times too. You saw that tonight too. But, yeah, man, kind of a wasted performance, 55 points in double overtime. They had the game won. Just boneheaded mistake after boneheaded mistake. But that's bad. That's the Portland Trailblazers, man. They'll break your heart, and then they'll break their own heart. So,
see, I've always said, and I'm glad that you're on the same page with me, especially with the Nuggets. I've come out several times and I said, hey, Jamal Murray is actually a big asset on this team. Now, I came out and said that, and I actually got torched by quite a few people, because they're like, well, they have the Joker. They have Jokic, so they're fine. And I'm like, that's crazy. He needs Jamal Murray. It goes hand in hand. You have Jamal Murray and Jokic. I completely agree with you that if they had Jamal Murray, this series would be over.
Mm-hmm.
You have Murray and Jokic who are that 1-2 punch. Now, when we're talking about that double overtime game, yeah, you kind of feel bad a little bit for Damian, because he wasted that 55-point performance. That was completely – but I'm not putting the whole blame on him for sure. I'm not doing that. But you have C.J. McCollum, you have a Carmelo Anthony, you have Nurkic. They even went out and they got Powell, which was supposed to come in and really help them out, especially in the 3-point game. But with this, even with this, it doesn't matter who wins. I don't think that the Blazers are going to go far. I don't think that the Nuggets are going to go far. The Blazers definitely aren't deep enough. The Nuggets aren't deep enough, especially without Murray. But Trey, with this game, do you foresee? So let's say that the Blazers win this game, they tie it up at 3. Do you think if the Blazers tie the series up at 3, that they win it in 7?
Oh man, this is a coin flip series. I mean, if it goes 7, I would pick the Portland Trail Blazers to win this series because they've proven they can go to Denver. The Mile High effect doesn't affect them as much. Damian Lillard, he loves playing the Mile High City. It helps his shot. But then again, I can also see the Portland Trail Blazers losing by 30 points to the Denver Nuggets at home on Saturday night as well. So I don't know the answer to that, but I do think that the Portland Trail Blazers and Damian Lillard will have enough, and I think Damian Lillard will get hot at the end of the fourth quarter in Game 7. But I'm telling you, I don't think this is a close game right now. They're tied right now. I told you that Portland Trail Blazers don't play defense at the end of games for whatever reason it is, and the Denver Nuggets just stay true to it. And now their shots aren't falling because the Denver Nuggets wrenched up their defense a little bit. I'm not sure it's going to go to a Game 7, but if it does go to a Game 7, I would still have Portland Trail Blazers probably winning that game.
So let's say this. In Game 7, who do you trust more? Do you trust Damian Lillard or do you trust the Joker?
Well, probably Damian Lillard just by a smudge, just because he's been there, done that. He's done it. But Jokic has also come down from 3-1 or down 3 games to 1 and came back in.
But
he also had Jamal Murray in that too.
Yeah, he had Jamal Murray.
And that's the problem I have with the Joker. It's nothing against the Joker or anything like that. I mean, the key instance like today's game, Michael Porter Jr. scores 22 points in the first quarter. Nothing since then. They can't find that guy who can help Joker all throughout the series. They need a constant second score, and they don't have, because that trade that they have with Gordon, he's not paying out worth a darn right now. I thought it was a great accusation at the time, but he's not doing anything to help Joker out. And Joker's basically carrying his team right now. But Damian Lillard has a different has C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum also goes on a hiatus. Like, he'll miss 7 threes in a row and thinks he's hotter than hell, and he'll help you lose a game as well as that. Carmelo Anthony, he can get hot, but he's not the same Carmelo Anthony as he was back in the Denver Nuggets days. But, I mean, they have more players who can shoot the three, score, and something off the dribble than what Denver does, because you can't trust Rivers will have a good, 2 minutes and then all of a sudden make boneheaded plays. I just trust the Portland Trail Blazers team because they've been there, done that, they've been together longer than I do the Denver Nuggets. So it's nothing against Joker. I just think Damian Lillard has the better pieces around him.
I've never trusted Austin Rivers. I never have. When it's been Rivers, I have never, ever trusted the guy. When he played for Houston, I never trusted him. And so, but when it comes down to it right now, you're asking, which person do you trust more? Well, that's tough, because I really have to see. Right now, I would almost say Lillard, and that's only because he has a little bit more going with him with McCollum and Carmelo Anthony and Nurkic and Norman Powell. But when you look at the Nuggets, it's technically just the Joker. That's technically all it is. But it's like you said with Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, amazing first quarter. When I saw how on fire he was in the first quarter, I'm like 6 threes in the first quarter. I'm like, that was freaking crazy. I thought that for sure when he was doing that in the first quarter, I'm like, oh, this game's over. They're not going to stop him. And then I don't know, and they just completely stopped. making any shots. And I'm like, man, now this guy's ice cold. You go from being on fire to ice cold. And I could not believe how ice cold that Michael Porter Jr. got. So they're definitely going to have to find that second guy that's going to be able to step up and really help the Joker. And right now, I don't see anybody that's going to be able to step up and help him.
It's supposed to be Gordon, right? That's why they made the accusation.
But it's not.
It's not. He was a star in Orlando because they had nothing around him. That's why he's so good. But now this is big time. This is the Western Conference. He's not doing what they brought him here to do. But yeah, Damian Lillard, just seeing all those clutch threes after clutch in playoff time, he's clutch. I trust him a little bit more than I do the Denver. Nothing against Joker. I think he's a great player. I think he's the best point center I've ever seen in my life. He makes it look so smooth. Looks clumsy every time he's dribbling the ball, but he always makes it happen. But he just doesn't have the assets around him as what Damian Lillard does.
All right, so why don't we jump into our next topic of the night, which team do you has actually looked the best in the postseason so far? Now, this is kind of interesting to me because overall, when you look at what has happened so far, you have the Bucks who, when I was watching them, I was not expecting the Bucks to come in and do what they did to Miami. I don't think anybody expect that because Miami's actually a good team. Something completely went wrong with Miami. Jimmy Butler did not play good. Dragic did not play good. Adebayo did not play good. But the big thing was when you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I'll tell you who could not be stopped. Giannis, man. Giannis was that's why he's that Greek freak. He was everywhere. He showed why he was the MVP for multiple seasons. But the reason was simply because look at what he did against Miami. The guy could not be stopped. And so to me, Milwaukee was actually really, really impressive. The Nets were, but everybody was expecting that. So it's hard to come out and say the one team that I wasn't sure how they were going to perform, though, when they got to the postseason was the Utah Jazz. And they came out and they showed up, and they've actually looked good too. But if I had to pick that one team right now that actually stepped up, that looked the best, I got to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks. Trey, how about you?
You got to take Milwaukee. They're the only team that swept through these playoffs. I was going to say the Philadelphia 76ers until Joel Embiid got hurt. And then they lost that game, and then they made it close. Going into the fourth quarter made me sweat a little bit. I'm like, is this team going to be the first team to give up 3-0? Because I'd be so Philadelphia. But I don't know about the Nets for sure yet because the Celtics were completed dysfunctional, right? All they have is Jason Tatum. They didn't have Jaylen Brown. They had no one else to help Jason Tatum. If they had Jaylen Brown and they did this, then I'd be like, okay, the Nets are for real. But it really didn't get a true test of it. But they did what they had to do, and they took care of business. But it has to be a Milwaukee, and that's just the Eastern Conference is just a joke. It's a top-heavy league. You have the Sixers, Nets, and Bucks. That's basically all you're gonna. That's basically your three title chances in the Eastern. Where the Western Conference, you have 1 through 7 that can win a championship. Any team can get hot. The 7 seed Lakers can come back and win the series. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Utah can get hot. The West is just more talented from top to bottom from 1 to 10. But the Bucks have to look good. But this is a series that they struggle, right? They can't get past the semifinals, and this is where they have to show it. But for the first round, yeah, they look the best. Miami, you say they were the good team. Were they though?
They were.
They barely made it to the 6th seed. Jimmy Butler had a good.
Okay.
They weren't a good team all year.
Well, you have to think though they had a lot of with COVID injuries and everything.
Everybody did.
But that's why I'm saying some of the seedings this year is weird. But when you look at Miami, they're really not a bad team. They made it all the way to the finals last year. Had Adebayo and Dragic been healthy, it could have been a different series. I'm not saying that they would have beat the Lakers, but it would have been different. And this year, Butler was out a lot. Adebayo was out. Dragic again. Hero was out for a while. Duncan Robinson. When you look at all of these guys, yeah, you have to put into perspective with how many guys they had coming in and going out and barely making a 6 seed. They're a lot better team than a 6 seed. They are. When they're healthy and actually playing, they're a lot better than that. I think they just kind of what you'd say underachieved in the playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks. They should have done a heck of a lot better than what they did against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks were ready for them. They came out and they swept the Heat.
Well, you can say that, but the Milwaukee Bucks got better in the offseason. Bringing in PJ Tucker, bringing in toughness, bringing in more shooters. The bench isn't as heavy, deep, but they're starting and the rotation is a lot better than what it was last year. That's not the same Milwaukee Bucks team that was in the bubble as it was this year. So
no, and the thing is people might look at the Bucks and say, well, how'd they get better? Because they were a 3 seed, but you can't do that. You can't come out and say that. And the reason you can't say it is because look at the Nets. I mean, the Nets are just a ridiculous team that are just stacked from top to bottom. So obviously the Bucks weren't going to get in as a 2 seed. And then the 76ers, I mean, they played really well. I don't think anybody saw them coming out and being the number 1 overall seed. I don't think anybody saw that.
No, and that's why I had Joel Embiid as your MVP till he got hurt at the end of the year. That's why, I mean, this guy had a phenomenal year carrying that team because we all know Ben Simmons can't shoot. He doesn't have great.
But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
Boy, they need him to now because they have no scoring. They have no one to help help since the Joel Embiid absence. They need someone else. And you saw that the Washington Wizards took them beat a game when they probably shouldn't have because Ben Simmons can't shoot. But he's a hell of a defender and a great passer. Don't get me wrong. If he just had a shot, this team, oh my God, this team would already won a championship last year. He could just shoot. But going back to it, I think the Milwaukee Bucks just by default, just because they took care of business, they've swept. The games weren't even close. Yeah, the Miami Heat were up 7 at halftime in Game 4, but then that disappeared in a heartbeat. The Suns, I'm just going to Western Conference real quick. I would say the Suns, but Chris Paul's shoulder and they're too young, too inexperienced. But I mean, gotta give them props where props is due. And then Dallas, if it wasn't for Luka, this team sucks. Let's just be honest with you. Clippers, you don't know what you're getting any time of the day. I mean, you don't know where you're getting CP3 or gone CP. I don't know. Not CP3. Paul George. I have CP3 on my mind because I'm really worried about his shoulder tonight. But the Western Conference is kind of mumble jumble. The Utah Jazz is the only team that looked good after dropping the first game. They basically came back and beat. But how good is Memphis really, right? Like that was just a young, striving team that wasn't for the play-in tournament. They wouldn't have been in the tournament. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Golden State would have been in that. So yeah, by default, it's between the Nets and the Bucks, and they're facing each other starting Saturday. So that's gonna be an amazing series to watch. I'm not pick. I can't pick right now, but I'll pick later.
Hey, you told everybody you were well. We have that. That's for another topic that we have. And,
that's why I said it.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna pick that later. But I think we're on the same page that we both said that Milwaukee Bucks were the most impressive in the first round so far, and that was because they came out and took care of business. But now when we actually look at the second round matchups, man. There's some matchups that are starting to look pretty good out there. I can't wait to see exactly what's going to happen tonight between the Suns and the Lakers. I really hope that the Suns can come out and finish this series off. But before we talk about that, we're going to actually jump into that Nets and Bucks because this is the next topic. And this is where you're going to have to make your predictions here. Now, I'll tell you now, the Bucks are not going to come out. They're not going to sweep the Nets. That's not going to happen. The Nets are not going to come out and sweep the Bucks. We can look past that now because Boston was able to take one away from the Nets, which you said it was going to happen. You came out and you said that the Celtics were going to win one. You said that they were not going to get swept. You said that Boston was too good on defense to come out and get swept to the Nets. And they did. They played a good defensive game when they were able to beat the Nets. Now, when you look at the Bucks are going to have to play great defense against the Nets. But the problem is that you come out, you try and focus on James Harden, you stop him, but then you still have a Kevin Durant, you still have a Kyrie Irving. You focus on stopping Kevin Durant, and you still have a James Harden and a Kyrie Irving. Then you try and focus on stopping Kyrie Irving, and you still have the Kevin Durant and James Harden. So,
well, and then I'll take it one step further. If you double team any one of those guys, you have Joe Harris out there who's the best 3-point shooter in the league. You can't leave anyone open. You can't double team or leave anyone open. They have shooters all the way around them.
They have a deep bench. So when we bought out, when the Pistons, I should say, bought out Blake Griffin, let him go, and then the Nets signed Blake Griffin, and everyone's like, oh, you know what? That's not fair. I was like, Blake Griffin is trash. He's over the hill. He's lost a step. But the thing is he's, for the Nets, he's come out and made a great bench player. He's done what he's had to do coming in off the bench. He doesn't come out and get 14 points every game. No, he doesn't do that. He might come out and get you 8, maybe 10, but he gets you some rebounds every game. He might get you a couple blocks, but that's what he's doing. He's becoming that bench player that the Nets need. And so to me, overall, when you look at this series, I think that the Nets are going to be too much for Milwaukee, and I'm going to say it's going to be Nets and I originally said 6, but I think it's going to be Nets in 5.
Wow. I think this is going to be the best second round matchup there is of all the potential ones that we're going to see. This is Giannis' series, right? This has to be on Giannis. Nets have no one that can stop Giannis. Let's just be straight up honest with ourselves. No, Blake Griffin can't stop him. He's a Greek freak. If Chris
Possibly
Middleton,
Kevin Durant.
Are you kidding me? Kevin Durant. He's gotten better defensive wise. I'm not saying
he has. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he's too skinny. He can't take that bulk. If he does, it's gonna affect him on the offensive. But then again, Kyrie and James Harden as well.
Exactly.
But the key is Chris Middleton's going to be your X factor. What Chris Middleton are we going to get? Are we going to get X like the past Chris Middleton where he's not making any shots? Or are we going to get this Chris Middleton that we saw in this last series? He's going to be the X factor because the Milwaukee Bucks led the league in scoring this year. Milwaukee Bucks can play some defense. Giannis Antetokounmpo, this is his series. If any team can beat the Nets, it's going to be him just because of his size and length inside, and he has to take a full advantage of that. But at the same time, I just don't see how anyone's going to beat this Nets team 4 straight times. I just can't see it. Like you said, you can't double team Kevin Durant. You can't double team Kyrie Irving. You can't double team James Harden. And if you do, you have Joe Harris, who's a 48%. I'm just throwing out numbers. I know he's over 40% 3-point percentage wise, making 3-point shots. He's the best in the league. And then they also have Shannon. And they also have all these other players who can make. They have shooters all over this team. So I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be a great series. I actually think it might go 7.
Ooh. My thing is that I can't say it's going to go 7. And the reason why I can't say it's going to go 7 is because the Nets are going to focus on Giannis. That's what they're going to do. And you shut down Giannis, and I'm not going to trust Chris Middleton enough to come out and get the job done. Are you kidding me? He's so inconsistent. I'm not going to trust him.
That's why I said the X factor. What Chris Middleton are we going to get?
I'm not a huge fan of Chris Middleton anyway.
I'm not either. I'm not either. But if he shows up and starts hitting shots like he did last round, then they have a shot.
Maybe, but the Nets are a completely different team than the Heat. Let me tell you that.
The Nets don't play defense, though. That kind of
no, they're not. They're not as good defensively as the Miami Heat, and you can look at the regular season and see, the amount of scoring that the Nets had, but then their defense completely, trash. They were on a record pace to where they were going to have the highest scoring offense ever in the history of the NBA, but then they were going to also have the worst defense ever in the history of the NBA also. So you kind of have that good and bad when you look at both sides of the spectrum. And which one are you going to get? Are you going to get that? Because I'll tell you, if you can slow down the Nets at all on the offensive side, the Bucks have a shot because the Nets defense is just not good. They're just not good. But if the Nets some way, some form, find a way to shut down Giannis, the series is going to be over and the Bucks aren't going to win. They're not going to win nothing. So that's going to be the Nets' main goal is to shut down Giannis.
You're right, but can you? That's the thing. Do you have the length to stop? I mean, that guy. I don't know. I'm with you. I think the Nets are going to win this series. I think they have better overall talent, but I still think that's going to be closer than what the experts think. I think a lot of people actually pick Milwaukee to win the West or the East. I wouldn't go that far, but
Oh no.
I wouldn't go that far whatsoever. But that's like Chuck or Charles Barkley and other people, whatever. But it is a final.
Yes, I know you're right. You were right. You were right again on that one.
I just seen the Portland Trailblazers do this to everyone every year, right? If for people who are watching us and not watching the NBA, the Portland Trailblazers just blew a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter and lost by 9 points. Before we came on the show, Mr. Let's Go Suns Adam Barber, aka Ace, said, "Well, looks like Portland's making it a game 7." I'm like, "Don't hold your breath, buddy." But I have a question. I know we have other topics. I know we're still on this one, but
you're good.
Did you blow up the Portland Trailblazers? They've proven they cannot win in the West with the style.
Not time yet. Not time yet. I give
How many more years you give it home?
One. Give it one more year. Go out, get one more guy. One more guy. That's all I'm saying.
Who?
Give him one more chance. Go out and find one more big man.
Who? Give me an example of who you think. Who wants to go to Portland?
There's the thing. I don't think anybody's going to want to go there, to be perfectly honest.
What I'm saying.
But think about this, though, okay? Because Drummond is going to be a free agent. Okay, Drummond's going to be a free agent, so he's probably not going to stick with the Lakers.
No,
now the thing is I know you're like, it sucks, but Drummond is that free agent. He's a rebounding machine. Is he going to get you a lot of points? No. But he dominates he dominates the boards. He's going to get you a ton of rebounds. And now, I think that's what Portland really needs. They need that person that can come out and dominate the boards, and that's Andre Drummond.
Yeah, but he also clogs the paint. And it makes it. Same with the Lakers. They can't get in the paint. Like, he doesn't spread the floor out.
No, he doesn't.
That's the problem the Lakers are having with the Suns right now. The Suns figured it out. That it won't work good with CJ and Dame Lillard. But who knows? I don't. Maybe they'll be good. I love Dame Lillard. I wish he would get a ring, but for Dame Lillard to get a ring, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to. I know he doesn't want to, but he's going to have to go outside of Portland. No one's going to want to go there for free agency. No one's going to want to go unless you're at the very end of your career, like Carmelo Anthony and stuff like that. Damian Lillard has. I know he wants to stay loyal and everything. You're not winning a championship with this style, with this head coach. They need a new head coach. Let's just be straight up honest with ourselves. This head coach sucks. So I say blow it up. I say trade Damian Lillard, whatever. Blow it up.
I'm telling you, one more year. Give it one more year.
And then next year, one more year. One more year.
Yes.
One more year.
No. I'm not saying all that. I'm not saying go 2-3 years. I'm saying give it one more year. Go out, get yourself a big man. One more big man. See how it goes with McCollum and Lillard. Let's say that they go out and get a Drummond. You try it out. You see how well it goes. Maybe he's that guy that you need that can dominate the boards. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
It's always got to change in Portland, though. I mean, because it's great to watch. It's fun to watch, but it's not consistently, and they're not going to make any deep run. They had that one good year. I forgot what year it was, but Golden State put that to bed real quick, winning 5 games. So I'd say blow it up. Adam says, give it one more year. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun offseason either way.
One more year. I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm telling you, give it one more year.
So if you're Denver,
the
the 3 seed, right? So would you want the Lakers or the Suns?
Well, right now, here's my thing. If you are Denver, here's why you want the Phoenix Suns. And the reason why you want the Phoenix Suns at this point is because I feel like when you look at the Lakers team, people feel like there's more star power on there with Anthony Davis and LeBron James and maybe an Andre Drummond and Caldwell Pope. But so you have more bigger guys. Jokic is only one guy. Okay, he's only that one big guy, and he's not going to be able to slow every single one of them down. But at least with the Phoenix Suns, they have Ayton, they have Chris. It's the Chris Paul effect, but Chris Paul's a smaller guy. They have Devin Booker, so the Phoenix Suns have a lot of smaller guys, and so to me, that's kind of what Denver would want right now.
So you say Phoenix?
I say Phoenix.
Even though they will have home court advantage against the Lakers. I'm with you. I think they were ready to play Phoenix just because of unexperience on that team too. Devin Booker's a hell of a player. He can go. He had a great game 5 yesterday. The other day, I'm sorry. Ayton's been the best player consistently on the Phoenix Suns this whole series. Ayton's going to be he can take. He's not going to stop Jokic, but he can contain him. But I don't know if Ayton wants to go out to the 3-point line. I think it's the Phoenix Suns because you do not want to face – I'm going to say this, Laker fans. You don't want to face LeBron James, who got his confidence levels back up, right? So – and then Anthony Davis can get healthy, and then the Lakers find a 3-point shot, and they have all that experience. If they had Jamal Murray, I wouldn't care who won. I think the Denver Nuggets will win either one of those games. But since they don't have Jamal Murray, they want the Phoenix Suns. It has to be the Phoenix Suns.
Absolutely. And that's why I said I truly believe that we were on the same page here. But before we go into our final topic of the night, the one question that I'm going to ask you is, who do you foresee having a bigger game tonight? Because we know that Anthony Davis is back tonight. He's going to be playing. So do you think that Anthony Davis is going to have a huge game, or do you think he's going to be back on the sidelines again with another injury halfway through the game?
Have you ever had a growing injury?
Yes, I have, and they hurt.
It does not go away in 4 days. You need to time. I don't care how much medicine you have. Well, LeBron James had the same injury and kept him out for 17 weeks or 17 games. I'm sorry. This is desperate move by the Lakers. You can tell they're panicking right now. They're panicking. They're hoping that being at home, having AD out there is going to give them a boost. But I don't see AD, and I could be totally wrong on this, and I've been wrong before. It wouldn't surprise me if AD had a great game, but I just don't see. I think Phoenix Suns figured it out. I think even with Anthony Davis, they still would have won by 20 points last night or the other night. I think Anthony Davis is going to have a Willis Reed moment. I don't think he's going to be that effective. I think that growing injury is going to affect him. I think the Phoenix Suns have figured out how to clog the paint because when you have the big men inside, Drummond and Marc Gasol, they can't. I mean, you're really scared. Yeah, Marc Gasol might hit a couple threes, but he's not going to beat you shooting 3-point shots every single night. LeBron James, I don't hate to say this at all because I've been telling everyone, LeBron James is old now. LeBron James is hitting father time. And everyone who's telling me, oh, he's injured, he hasn't came back from injury. What the hell do you think what father time is? You don't recover as fast as you did back in the day. And Anthony Davis is just, Chuck called it right. Street clothes Davis. He just can't stay healthy. The only reason he stayed healthy throughout the playoffs last year because they had that 4-month hiatus because of COVID. That's the only freaking reason. That's the only reason. Because going into it, he was struggling. He was starting to get hurt a little bit. The basketball gods are not happy with him, but they don't take pity on Anthony Davis. I mean, it's unfortunate that big men in this league, athletic big men, do not stay around as long as point guards. It's a proven fact. The body doesn't hold up as well as any big men in the league. But I think tonight he's going to have a Willis Reed moment. He might have hit a couple big shots at the beginning of the game. I think the Lakers will come out scorching hot. I think they'll have the Suns can manage that. I think the Suns pull away late in the fourth quarter, and LeBron James gets his first round loss, and we won't talk about him being the GOAT ever again. Well, some people still call him GOAT, but he's not the GOAT.
Here's my thing, though. So when you look at this, so let's say the Lakers come out and lose tonight. Okay, so if the Lakers come out and lose tonight, what you're going to see end up happening is you're going to end up seeing everybody come out and start blaming Anthony Davis and be like, oh, it's Davis's fault. When in reality, let's say Davis comes out, is hobbling around the court, gets 10 points on the night. Yeah, everyone's going to be like, it's Davis's fault. But in reality, you kind of have to blame it on the coaching staff too, because they're the ones who are allowing him to play and be like, well, we need Anthony Davis out there, even though he's not 100%. So I'm just saying, like, you kind of have
I
to
think-
blame it on coaching staff too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Frank Vogel's a bad coach. I don't even think they should have hired him to be a head coach. The only reason he won that championship last year was because of the bubble and because of COVID-19. And LeBron James is playing freaking out of his mind because he got 4 months off going into the bubble. That's the only reason they won that tournament. They won the tournament. Everyone played by the same rules, so they're champions. I'm not taking anything away from that whatsoever. But I think you're right. It's coaching. Frank Vogel, I think the heat's on him. Because I don't think Ginny Buss wants him. I think Jason Kidd's the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. I really think that. That's who they want. I think Jason Kidd would do a hell of a lot better job than whatever Frank Vogel. Because Frank Vogel doesn't make any adjustments. He doesn't do anything. He sucks. He sucks. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I think Jason Kidd would be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think Frank Vogel's feeling the pressure right now. That's why Anthony Davis is playing.
All right, well, that brings us to our last topic of the night, which I know I've been kind of waiting for. Again, because I'm kind of trying to – because I'm kind of curious where you're going to go with this one. Because last week you did Trey's rant on LeBron James, but what is Trey's rant going to be this week?
I could do LeBron James again, but I'm not going to do it to poor Laker fans. I know you're sweating right now with this game fixing to start. Man, where could I go? I can go a lot of ways. Actually, I'm going NBA. I am going NBA. It has something to do with the Lakers and LeBron James too. The NBA has always been a star-studded league, right? Like this year. Oh, we can't have LeBron James out of the playoffs. We need him for fanfare. We need him for this. We need him for that. No, we freaking don't, NBA. Stop shoving LeBron James down our throats. Stop shoving the Lakers down our throats. Stop shoving even Kevin Durant down our throats. If the playoffs would be so good, they're like, oh, we need LeBron James and all these studs. No, you don't. You know how many great young talent there is in the league right now that make this game more fun to watch than any of those superstars ever have when LeBron James is in his prime? This league is wide open right now, and this is fantastic. And you're blowing it by shoving all these superstars down our throats, and we don't need it. We do not need it. We have Luka Doncic. Look what Luka Doncic did the other night. He's hardly getting any love today on ESPN. It's all about the Lakers and LeBron James and the Nets and everything else. You're hardly getting anything kind of love with Luka Doncic. You have Trae Young, who basically just tore the Knicks a new one, booing them, spitting on them. He didn't care. He loved it. He took a bow right in front of the Knicks center coin because no one can stop this bad man, Trae Young. You have John Morant, who's a second-year guy coming out and putting on the show that he did. Adam said it earlier, scoring over 100 points in these playoff games. First player ever do that as a young player. You have Luka Doncic, you have Trae Young, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have Jason Tatum, you have all these great young players coming out, and it's so fun to watch and see the fun that they have. But yet you still want us to revert back to LeBron, Kevin Durant, and all these superstars who whine and cry and don't make the game fun as it used to be. Who's all about prima donnas, all about this, that, and the other. I'm tired of it. Stop shoving it. If you just listen to your fans, that's why your ratings are going down, because you're not listening to your fans. That WWE effect. They're not listening to their fans, right? They're not listening to anything they have to say. Listen to your fans, and you'll have your prime example coming up. You'll have a lot more people watching these games, and the ratings will go way up. That's what I have to say. I'm just tired of the NBA shoving all these superstars down our throat when clearly the young stars are taking over this game, and it's fun to watch.
All right. Thank you for Trey's rant right there. So with that, because Game 7 of the Lakers and Suns are about to start, we're going to go ahead and it's Game 6. I don't know why I said Game 7. I'm sorry. I guess I'm just assuming that there's going to be a Game 7. But
I'm assuming it too.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that there's going to be. But Trey, do you have any final thoughts for the night before we go ahead and wrap up the show?
Well, I want to hit on a little bit of these fans throwing water bottles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ruin it for us. And yeah, they shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. The popcorn thing, I'm kind of more funny about because we have mascots throwing popcorn on the fans all the time, and we don't bitch and whine like all these other Westbrook and everything. But let's hold players accountable too. Yeah, they threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. You also know what happens. Kyrie Irving also threw a ball in the stands, and what happens? That would have hit a fan, and they would have had a heart attack or died or something like that. Would he be accountable? We got to have if if you want to trash talk, like some of these players are mad that they're trash talking you and calling you these names. Well, don't engage in the trash talking back. Y'all started this too. It has to go both ways. But yeah, I'm with the fan. Stop ruining it. Just go. We had a COVID, no fan year. Just go and enjoy the game and be out. That you're finally out and doing something. Just don't ruin it for all the rest of us who get to go watch the game. Please, just be well mannered, please.
Yeah, which I completely agree with you on that. I will say, because there was talks, when they threw the water bottle, I completely understand it. It's a water bottle,
Yeah.
but when a fan spit on Trae Young,
Yeah.
that's not, come on, man. You don't spit on players. That's just something you don't do.
Especially coming from COVID year that we just had. Don't do that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to go down that route. But that is going to be it for us tonight on Speak Out. So I hope you enjoyed another episode of Speak Out. I am Ace, and let's go Suns. And then that is, of course, Trey. And with that, I hope everybody, if you're watching the NBA tonight, I hope you have a great Game 6 between Phoenix and the Lakers. And I really hope that the Suns come in and pull this off and move on to the next round and eliminate the Lakers in the first round. And I know, Trey, I know you're thinking that same way. You want the Phoenix Suns to end it tonight.
If the Phoenix Suns win tonight, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be blocking me.
I think they will, and I think that you will see a few people not show up on a few of their shows for
a long time.
For a very long time, because they're not going to want to talk about it.
Well, I will say this before we go off the air. The Phoenix Suns, talking a little bit about this game, the Phoenix Suns proved me wrong. They come out going to blazing and already have a 9-point lead. They're hitting 3-point. Crowder's hitting 3-point shots. Booker's already hit a step back 3. This team's focused. They're ready to go. I think the Lakers are in trouble tonight. I'm sorry, Laker fans. They're in trouble.
The Phoenix Suns have come out and actually started looking really good. So this might actually be a good sign for you Phoenix Suns fans, because this may not be something that people were expecting. I don't think anybody was expecting them to come out and start playing this good right off the bat.
Not in the first quarter. We all thought the Lakers
Definitely
could come out and take control. Like first quarter, have that big punchers to the mouth. And then how will the Phoenix Suns react? That's how I thought the game was going to happen. But the Phoenix Suns took the fight to them. So, man.
Right off the bat, man. And I'll tell you, if Devin Booker and Jay Crowder and Chris Paul get hot. And the funny thing is, before we end the show, I know it's kind of funny because we keep coming up, but that's okay. But funny thing is Chris Paul hasn't had to score very much in this whole series. He hasn't had to. He's been getting assists, and basically – that's about it. He hasn't scored because Devin Booker's been doing it. Crowder's been doing it. Ayton's been doing it. Mikal Bridges has been doing it. Everybody's been getting involved. So everybody's been scoring. And this is the type of team that helps you win a championship, when you can get everybody involved in the scoring. That's why the Phoenix Suns are such a dangerous team, because of that reason.
You're right. And that's why they don't need him. They need his leadership. You see, once he gets out, he was injured for those games and he was out. Yeah, the offense wasn't flowing as well. And I think Devin Booker needed those 2 games, and now you're starting to see the real Devin Booker come out with confidence. You're starting to see the 70-point Devin Booker now. So you're right. Chris Paul doesn't need to score in the series. He just needs to be the floor general like he is.
It's still that Chris Paul effect no matter what, because he's the heart and soul of that team. He's the leader of the team. He's going to find a way to come out, and I feel like the way that the Suns are playing right now, they could very well end it tonight.
I hope they do.
They could.
I sure to God hope
they could.
do.
It could definitely be that Chris Paul effect. So hopefully they do. And personally, if the Phoenix Suns are able to get past this round, heck, I'm going to say it now. Since my team isn't in it, I'm going to say go Suns. And I will then hope for a Nets and Suns finals. That's what I'll be hoping for. Because because think about this, it'd kind of be one of those justice things, right? Because in the finals you would have James Harden against Chris Paul, so it'd kind of be interesting.
Yeah, but if that was the case, I think the Nets that wouldn't be a close series. I think the Nets will pull away and win that series really easily.
Hey, I would still like to see it, though. I would still like to see it. I would
for drama reasons. Hell yeah!
Finals. Heck yeah! I would definitely like to see Phoenix Suns and the Nets in the NBA championship. It'd be a heck of a story. Huge Chris Paul fan, love to see it. Huge James Harden fan, I love that too. So it'd be great. But with that, I think we finally come to the end of it. I don't think we have anything else left to say, which
done.
We're good.
I'm
yeah,
done.
you're
I'm
done.
done.
So am I. So everybody enjoy Game 6. Let's go Suns. And then you can join us again next week on another episode of Speak Out. So we will see you guys later and have a great night.
Peace.